Macron condemns Russian attack on Dnipro that killed people. NATO considers encirclement of Sumy unrealistic. Russia is suffering significant losses there. And how special tribunal on Russian aggression will work. The latest news next. French President Emmanuel Macron has condemned the latest large-scale Russian attack on the city of Dnipro and other recent strikes on Ukrainian cities that have resulted in civilian casualties, reported by Macron on X.
I have strongly condemned Russia's massive attack on Dnipro and the recent strikes on Ukrainian cities in the past weeks.
The French president noted that Russia continues to reject peace despite Ukraine accepting a ceasefire proposal put forward by US President Donald Trump over 3 months ago.
Russia bombs, it kills, and it violates international law without ever being held accountable. Russia cannot go on killing with impunity.
Macron added that together with partners, France will continue to push for strong and lasting peace in Ukraine. On the 24th of June, Russian forces launched a missile strike on Dnipro, causing a series of explosions. The death toll has since risen to 20. How many more bodies must be buried before the world means what it says? How many more children must bleed in playgrounds and hospitals before sanctions are more than statements and weapons more than promises? Russia matters not by mistake, but by strategy. And yet it still trades, still negotiates, still sits in international halls as if it hasn't turned civilian homes into graves. Where is the red line? Where is the justice Macron speaks of if the killers still launch missiles the next morning? Peace is not a press release. Peace demands pressure, isolation, firepower, not applause for concern. We are being exterminated in real time. Where is the arsenal of freedom? Where is the moral clarity? Enough. Either you stop the killer or you let him reload, and history will record who chose which side. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has said that new sanctions against Russia could undermine potential negotiations, stressing that Trump will know the right time and place to introduce them, reported by Rubio in an interview with Politico, a Brussels-based politics and policy news organization. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy and other European leaders are hoping to persuade Trump at the NATO summit in The Hague on Wednesday, the 25th of June, to introduce new sanctions against Russia, as Kremlin dictator Vladimir Putin has repeatedly rejected US proposals for a ceasefire.
If we did what everybody here wants us to do, and that is come in and crush them with more sanctions, we probably lose our ability to talk to them about the ceasefire and then who's talking to them.
He added that Trump will know the right time and place for new economic measures. Rubio asserted that the presidential administration is working with Congress to ensure that Trump has enough flexibility regarding the implementation of such measures. However, if the US decides to impose sanctions, he added, it would likely mean that the window for talks with Russia will close. If he does it, you are almost admitting that this is not going to be negotiated anytime soon, Rubio said.
We're going to continue to engage, in the sense that if there's an opportunity for us to make a difference and get them to the table, we're going to take it.
As negotiations with Russia remain stalled, Rubio remarked that Moscow is convinced it can secure its territorial aims through military force, and assessment Washington does not share.
Our sense of it is that the Russians are going to try to achieve in the battlefield what they've demanded in the negotiating table, which is certain territories, maintain their administrative lines and the like. We think it's going to be a lot harder for them to achieve that than they think it's going to be.
Irina Mudra, deputy head of the Office of the President of Ukraine, has outlined the key provisions of the statute of the special tribunal, which will consider crimes committed by Russia against Ukraine, reported by European Pravda with reference to Mudra on Facebook. Mudra emphasized that the prepared statute provides a genuine opportunity to hold those who initiated the war accountable. She noted that the statute does not mention personal immunities, despite different positions and extremely difficult negotiations.
Even the current leaders of the aggressor state, the so-called Troika, will not escape responsibility. They may receive indictments which the tribunal's prosecutor will be able to publicly present and submit to the judge in the preliminary proceedings.
Sentencing and conviction in absentia will be possible after the Troika, which notably includes Russian dictator Vladimir Putin and Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, is removed from office. The tribunal will have international legal standing rather than the status of a hybrid or national structure. It is an independent institution of international law that will speak on behalf of the world in the language of international law. The statute is based on Article 8 bis of the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court, supplemented by the criteria of aggressive war outlined in UN General Assembly resolution.
The special tribunal does not undermine the International Criminal Court. It complements it. Proceedings can run in parallel, and in the event of the transfer of the accused to the ICC, the proceedings in the tribunal are suspended.
Mudra added that a separate achievement for Ukraine is the inclusion of the in absentia mechanism. This makes it possible to obtain verdicts even without the presence of the accused, except for the current Troika while they are in office. This particularly applies to Russia's political and military leadership and potentially also to Belarus and North Korea. The tribunal is not just a document, it's a promise that even the most protected tyrants bleed under justice, and it's a warning to every accomplice. The reckoning is not hypothetical, it's being built close by close in the name of those who can no longer speak. Let history finally do what the world still hesitates to: name the killer, judge him, punish him. NATO intelligence has confirmed the continued advance of Russian forces, including in Sumy region, although Russia is suffering devastating losses, reported by a senior alliance official speaking to journalists at the NATO summit on condition of anonymity, as reported by European Pravda. The alliance official, based on intelligence from allied countries, confirmed the Ukrainian armed forces estimates regarding Russian combat losses. The official stated that the threshold of 1 million Russian casualties had been crossed, with approximately 250,000 of those being dead. They said Russian losses had recently reached very high levels, averaging around 1,300 people per day, and linked this to Russia's tactics, which rely heavily on assaults, resulting in a significant percentage of facilities, including in Sumy region. Commenting on the situation in Sumy region, the senior alliance official explained that Russia is trying to create a buffer zone following the Kursk operation carried out by Ukrainian troops. While acknowledging that Russia has made some tactical advances, it was noted that these attacks are extremely exhausting for Russian forces. The official also added that the encirclement of the city of Sumy does not appear likely or possible in the near future. Updated. Later, talking about expectations for the coming month, the official mentioned that Russia is expected to try to bypass Sumy. They said there would likely be attempts to expand the line of contact to the north and northeast of the city, as Russia seeks to establish a theater of operation for a potential assault. However, the official pointed out that previous attempts had been unsuccessful. The NATO official also observed that although Russia was continuing to make gradual progress in Sumy region and other areas of Ukraine's east, the line of contact had not significantly changed over the past 2 months. They added that NATO has confirmed that Ukraine is simultaneously advancing near the Russian village of Totkino in Kursk region, and believed this development is holding back the Russian offensive and demonstrating that both sides are achieving tactical gains. That's all for today. Thanks for watching this video. Support Ukraine, like and subscribe.